Well, so I had an improv show on Monday night. That went pretty well. And then we had an event for Emily in Paris again.
Oh, I saw that on your social media. So your girlfriend was playing at an Emily in Paris. By the way, your mother has binge watched all of Emily
All
in
of Emily
Paris.
in Paris.
Have you watched any of it yet? I was trying to get you interested in that series.
Not a single episode.
McKylin.
It's not for me. I guarantee in the algorithm they're not like, all right, borderline 29-year-old ethnically ambiguous men. Well, they'll love this. Like I'm not in their algorithm. It doesn't even show up on my page.
Oh, it doesn't. So it's just
Yeah.
feeding it to me, but it's not feeding it to you.
Exactly. Unless you watch it. Well, we share Netflix, so I guess whenever you watch it, I see it. But
So it's an interesting concept, the algorithm of life, because
yeah,
I am constantly trying to trick my algorithm on Instagram. You know, like if you swipe over and it will say for you.
hmm
And so my Instagram thinks that I am a Black dancer who loves sports. And I feel really positive about that, that I have tricked my algorithm into only feeding me what I care about. Because, like, sometimes if you even tap on one single Taylor Swift anything, like look at an outfit or anything, all of a sudden your whole algorithm becomes Taylor Swift. I'm like, no, 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 no.
yeah. Well, I
I
mean,
might like
see,
one small detail of hers. I don't want all of it, but I do want every dance video that's ever been done on the internet.
well, these algorithms are like, I mean, they're pretty money based too, and I mean, she makes all the money, you know.
But because the algorithm is like, if you push anything, like if you tap on anything related to her, then you
Yeah.
suddenly get fed all this stuff. And I'm not against her in any by any means. I'm just not a huge fan. I'm a fan of different people. So yeah, it's hard.
Careful,
I'm
those
still
Swifties will come
successful.
after us.
No, no, no. I admire her and respect her greatly. I think she's one of the greatest business women we have ever seen in our country.
Mm,
Not just as an entertainer. I think she's an incredible business person.
hmm
But I'm just not into her on my algorithm. So it's really hard to keep your social media algorithm understanding who you really are
hmm
instead of who they think you should be based on your age, race, income, all that stuff.
Yeah, which is gross that they can look at that because they
Well,
just take all your data. Well, I mean, but who knows?
who
Who
knows?
knows?
So how
But
was your
that's
show? How was your improv show?
show was good. Show was good. Show was fun. Yeah, we had a good time. And then I have a packed week because then this weekend I have a show and I'm doing a shoot for my pilot and I have work. So we're working.
The life of a young creative. You got to be
Yeah,
like 17 balls in the air, like juggling, 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 juggling.
exactly. And then go work in a dumb bar and be like, okay, this is what we're getting away from. Okay, it's
This
good.
is how I make my money. But
Exactly.
oh, okay. Speaking of things I don't understand on the internet, what is this meme that everybody's doing? Hey, I want show me your money. I don't get it. I don't get
I
it.
have no
I
clue.
pride myself on being very hip and being on top of a lot of things.
I have no idea what that is. I think this will be, we are the podcast that is completely disconnected from things. We don't know anything that's going on.
I'm coming to you for the youth culture,
I'm
and you've
not
got
a youth.
nothing.
I'm not a youth anymore. I'm
Oh,
aging out of the youth.
oh, that's a really sad, hard thing to hear.
No, I'm just a regular. I'm regular Joe now.
Regular Joe.
Yeah, the youth is. I think you to be youth, fully youth, you have to be like everything's like 25 and under. They're in that little bracket, and then now I'm in like that middle stage before you're fully like you're just like, oh, it's just like a homeowning adult.
Wow.
Well, not anymore, but used to be homeowning adult.
Yeah, I don't know if 29-year-olds can afford to own homes right now. It's a hard economy. I've heard
Sure
interest
can.
rates are coming down though. So speaking of your improv and life and just trying to get everything going, I saved a couple of things for us this week because
Okay.
sometimes you see things and you're like, oh, I like that. That's good for the pod. And then when you get to the pod, you're scrolling through your screenshots and you can't actually find it. So
Yeah.
please hold. But the quote was basically this. It said, The true job of a parent is to raise your kids to not need you anymore.
Mm.
And the hardest part of being a parent is then your kids don't need you anymore. Is you've been a successful parent if your kids don't need you anymore.
Mm.
So my question to you today is, do you still need your mom? Or have I done such a great job as a parent that you do not need your mother anymore?
I don't know. I still need you for a myriad of things. We're still, I mean, we're doing a podcast. I mean, you've helped me out financially even recently. Like, I still need you. Also, just emotional support. And I do
Okay,
think,
that's the right answer in my book, because it would crush me if you're like, I don't need you, but I
no,
want you. And I think that's what the gist of this quote was, is you don't want you want your kids to be self-sufficient and not need you anymore, but you still want them to want you in their life,
yeah.
right?
Well, and I mean, also, I mean, I feel like we need each other. I don't
Right.
know. I don't know if you would take as good of care of yourself without me constantly like pestering you and heckling you to, you know,
Yes,
go
I
for a
do
walk
love
and stuff.
that. That's a love language that you have for your mother, of you taking care of yourself, are you doing this and that?
Are you
Like, that's
sleeping? Are
your
you
love
taking a day
language.
off? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really awesome. And I do need you in my life. I think parents will always need their children because you're our favorite people. But I
Yeah.
just thought that was a really interesting concept of, we've talked about it a little bit before about the helicopter parent generation. And
Hmm.
someone was telling me a story last night about an athlete who has graduated and here who is now 28 years old. And when the coach contacts them for this professional league, the mom answers all the person's emails.
Well, I mean, in some ways that is smart because I was thinking about this recently, because I've had agents and managers and it hasn't worked out in certain ways, and I was like, I just was thinking about like, oh, you want like, and I was looking at a myriad of things and like a bunch of different people, and like a lot of times their team will be like family members. You know what I
Right.
mean? I mean, it's also a way that you can like pay them without it feeling like you're just giving them money. But like,
Right.
that is a big thing I've noticed is that like it is good to have your team be family.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Because then they're, for the most part, you would think they're very loyal and they're going to look out for you in a way that maybe a business associate might not look
yeah,
out for you.
and they know you before things, so they can talk to you a little differently,
Right.
and you have more of a respect for them because they're not just it's not just a monetary relationship. So I do think there's like it. I don't think that's necessarily helicopter parenting because I mean I don't even know how true it was, but like in that movie Air with Michael Jordan's mom really fighting and like helping him fight for the
That
rights.
was a true story. I think that is the greatest gift any mother has ever given her child. Is she went in, this is a true story. She went in to negotiate with Nike when they're trying to decide between them and a different company. She goes into the last meeting and she says he has to get, a percentage of every sneaker sold.
Yeah,
And that wasn't in the contract before. Like, think about how smart she was. Of course, this is like 30 years ago, but
yeah.
he has to have a percentage of every sneaker sold. And that's why he is now a billionaire. Michael Jordan became a billionaire 20 years after he last played basketball. And that is, in a lot of ways, a credit to his mother
Yeah.
having his back. I haven't read
Yeah.
the story of where she thought of that idea, if someone else told her that, or if she came up with that on her own. But
Mm,
that's a really good mom looking out for their child story. Maybe the best ever.
maybe. This is a random. This is just a random thought, but it's making me think of like the way that these things kind of go in flows. It's like that one woman, making that deal or helping make that deal. Like, what has that done to our culture and society now? Because like now everybody wants a sneaker deal and wants a percentage of it. So sneakers have like boomed in price because the people want to, want the shoe. So now there's this whole industry that has become its own beast. That like there's sneakerheads and there's people that spend like $300 a month on just like shoes,
Right.
and especially even a group that's not necessarily marketed towards. Like that's not necessarily like, oh, you guys got to have like your shoes. Like it's a whole new avenue to get men to buy shoes.
Yeah, and if you really think of it, still to this day, Jordans and Air Force Ones and that whole gosh, it's like its own economy.
Hmm.
The sneaker business is its own economy. You can really credit a lot of that to that moment with the mom standing up for her kids. So shout out to the mothers.
Shout out to the mom. Yeah, she's changed a lot of the, ecosystem of even shoe companies.
So, okay, I had
It's
a
crazy.
couple of topics I would wanted to get to. Are you ready for our chaos theory today?
Oh, we're going chaos theory already.
I'm coming in hot. I've got some topics that I really want to get to.
Interesting.
All right, what are your? I'm gonna reach in and grab one of my topics. Oh, this is a good one.
Oh, nice. Competitive or crazy.
Or crazy.
All right, and then
So,
this is mine. Awkward movie experiences.
oh, do you want me to tell mine? Because people will again cancel me and realize that I'm a terrible mother.
I don't know if they'll tell you. Well, which one are you thinking of?
Well, there's a lot.
There's a few.
So, I had this thing when you were growing up that I didn't want you to see violence. Like, I just thought American TV, like, I learned this from traveling in Europe. You'll turn on the TV in Europe and they just don't allow the same level of violence on TV that
Well, they do now, but they didn't.
Right. This is 20 years ago when you were a kid. And I just kind of made the decision, like, I didn't buy you guns. You did not have toy guns your whole life. We were not going to have violence in our home, very anti guns in the home, even if they're toys. But I might let you watch things that were more risque, like if I was letting you stuff. So you watched Titanic. I remember you watching Titanic when you were very young.
I think I saw Titanic in the theater. Pretty sure you took me to Titanic.
You did.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories about you is I literally think you were 4 years old because you were just really putting full sentences together, 3 or 4. And I remember us driving up to the theater and we were going to go see Titanic. And Titanic was sold out. And you started crying like you were still in a car seat. That's how young you are. So that lets people know how inappropriate it was for me to let you watch Titanic.
I mean, you see a boob.
You see a steamy sex scene and people die on a ship. Anyway.
Well, I think the wanton death is probably worse
than
a boob.
Steamy car. Anyway, so we go to the theater. Titanic is sold out, and you start crying. Why is Titanic sold out? You're crying. So we go to church the next day, and I've got you sitting in church. And in the middle of church, you're kind of being noisy and fidgety, and I'm like, shh, and you say as loud as possible, crying, "Why can't church be sold out?" And I thought that was
good logic.
I thought that was one of your funnier childhood moments. But anyway,
yeah,
I've taken you to a lot of movies that I shouldn't have, but this was my most awkward movie experience. When you were 6 or maybe 7 years old, we had an Austin Powers birthday party. Because at that time, Austin Powers was like crazy kid, just like fun, and you loved his personality and you thought it was so cute. So I took you and about 6 of your friends to Austin Powers 2 for your birthday.
Yep.
And what I didn't realize was
that there was
episode was Fat Bastard.
Yeah, there's a character called Fat Bastard.
Fat Bastard, and there might have been an inappropriately named woman as well.
Ivana Humpalot.
Oh gosh, you still
the opening scene. I've seen it recently. The opening scene, or one of the opening scene. Well, the opening scene of the movie is Austin Powers dancing. This will never not be funny, and I still do this to this day. But he's dancing through it. His wife dies. It turns out she's a robot, and she explodes. And then he proceeds to walk around a hotel naked as people hold things in front of his penis. And it is. I think that's really built a lot of my humor.
It was a very creative scene because you never see it.
You never see it, and I still do that little. At one point he's walking down the thing, and there's like a baby's little lollipop going back and forth as he sways back and forth, walking towards the camera, and I think about it all the time. It makes me laugh so much. It's hilarious.
It is hilarious. It's a great movie. It's so funny. It's also really inappropriate for 6 or 7 year olds. So I'm sitting there in the movie like, oh my gosh, I have brought all these young kids to see Austin Powers, and it's Fat Bastard and Ivana Humpalot. And I remember a couple of the moms did say something to me later, like, yeah, we didn't know they were going to see Austin Powers. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I did not know how inappropriate it was. But some of the kids did go home saying fat bastard. I did get in trouble with some mothers. So that would be my number one awkward movie experience is
That's a good one. That's a
me
good one.
inappropriately taking you to an Austin Powers birthday party as a 6-year-old.
So
I'm
mine was gonna be when for Christmas. So I love, as we've said, like we love crime thrillers and like gritty crime thrillers. And one of my favorite directors is David Fincher. And so one Christmas we went to see Girl with a Dragon Tattoo,
and you were
based off
pretty
of
young. You were like in high school or junior high, I feel like.
what year was that? It was 2011. So I think I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah.
But I was super pumped for the movie. And you had read the book, and you gave me no warning for the contents of the movie.
I just don't think I thought about it, honey. I don't.
There was no warning, and if you haven't seen that movie, do whatever you'd like. But there's a very rough scene halfway through.
It's a horrific sexual assault scene.
Yes, and so
And we saw that on Christmas Day.
On Christmas Day, I watched that with my mom, my aunt, who is basically like my mom, my second mom, and then my female cousin, who is like my older sister. And that was my Christmas, 2011.
Oof.
That was the one I thought of. That one was pretty good. But I did get everybody back to the following year because I took everybody to go see Django Unchained
on Christmas, and that was a horribly violent movie.
And that was my slight little revenge because also it's just I'm the only black member of the family, so I just remember sitting there just like a pig in shit, just like payback.
Oh boy, yeah,
Great movie.
I think yeah, I've taken you to a lot of inappropriate movies, honey.
Do you remember when I was like, so I wanted to be an actor and a comedian really early. I want to say like 6 or 7. I kind of
yeah. I have pictures of you when you're 5, 4, 5, 6, 7. You would dress up all the time. You would act out scenes. Like you've been on this path to be an actor your whole life.
Yes, very just an intense, no plan B. I had like since childhood, I was like, I want to be in the Men in Black, and you're like, they're not real, and I was like, well, then I'm gonna do whatever it does to let me be in the Men in Black. But so you were very supportive, and I remember there was one year, I was probably like 10 or 11, and we had Comcast, and so you could put parental locks on it, and so you would lock the Comcast anything over PG-13. And we had been talking about it a lot. And so we went out, you bought me a Richard Pryor stand-up tape, a George Carlin stand-up DVD, and then gave me the parental locks so I could watch Beverly Hills Cop.
Because I wanted you to see successful Black comics, which I thought Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor were two of the earliest really successful Black comics and stand-ups. And so I did not remember back in the day how raunchy their humor was. Because I don't know, like you just think, oh, Eddie Murphy, he's so funny. Like he's in, the PG. He's in Dilbert, or what movies he in where he's the chubby guy?
He was in The Nutty Professor, but we went back.
He's the Nutty Professor. So in my mind at this time, I'm not thinking like how raunchy he is. And then you go back and watch. I think I bought you Delirious, Eddie Murphy's Delirious.
You brought me Live on the Sunset Strip, and then I watched Beverly Hills Cop by myself, which for anybody who's a fan of Beverly Hills Cop, just every single of the first 3 movies, there's always an extended scene in a strip club.
Oh, is there? I didn't remember that.
And I was like 10 years old, just like, oh.
Wow.
Oh, this is something.
Wow. Yeah.
Still one of my favorite movies of all time.
I felt like I grew up really sheltered, and I didn't learn a lot about the world until I was much older. And so I didn't like that. I didn't like the surprises I encountered in my 20s. Like, oh, wait, men will do what? I didn't like being sheltered. And so I think I went the other way with you of like, I want to expose you to a lot of different things so that you are not backwards and that you can make up your own mind about your opinions on things and have a lot of autonomy in your thought process.
I think it was a smart decision, and it's good because you learn a sense of humor early, and you learn there's less things that you're surprised about in life in like a negative way.
Okay, mine was competitive or crazy. So I was raised in a very competitive household. I think that being a competitive person has been one of my greatest assets in life because life is competitive. My dad, when I was a kid, we had all girls for a long time. My brother wasn't born until I was 16 years old. So we grew up going to the Deseret Gym, playing basketball. And to stay on the court playing basketball, you have to win, or else you have to stand off to the side and wait till the other team loses, or wait 30 minutes, whatever. So to stay on the court, it was important to win. So it would be my dad and his 4 daughters out there playing basketball. And all of us are 5'3" or shorter. And we would have to figure out ways to win at pickup basketball and stay on the court. So I think I've been raised to be super competitive. But why I thought of this topic is I was playing Urk, which is one of our favorite games. If you haven't played Urk, you've got to do it. I was playing Urk with some friends last night, and 2 of the women we were playing with just so happened to be Olympic gold medalists. And it was me and a friend against the 2 women who have won Olympic gold medalists, and they won. And they jumped up, ran around the table, and celebrated this board game win at a friend's house on a Tuesday night, like they'd won the Olympics.
Well, to be fair, I know where you're going with that, but in their defense, and just because it's interesting, you have said things to me during games that would be inappropriate to say to your worst enemy.
Right. And that's what I'm telling you is I have started to realize that I am competitively
You're
crazy.
starting to realize?
I'm a psycho competitor.
I'm just saying you're old enough to have an adult son, and you're starting to realize.
No, I know I'm super competitive. I've gotten asked to stop playing games at bridal and baby showers before because I want to win all the games. I to this day, like, I race people in the airport. They don't know they're racing me, but I try to pass people like on the escalator or on the walking walkway, or I'll try to pass them at the, like, I am like constantly competing with people in my brain, and that's super weird. But do you think it's helpful or not to be a competitive person? Because
I think it's
sort of bugs me sometimes that you're not as competitive as I am.
I'm competitive as you in a different way.
How so?
And I would not say this is a healthy thing that we have an issue with, because you're quote unquote a jerk about it. But you're like, you're not as competitive as me. I'm like, I'm a different person. Stop competing with me to be more competitive. It's like, holy hell.
I am competing with you to be who's more competitive.
You're like, you don't have enough drive and tenacity. I'm like, you don't even know what's going on in my brain. Stop. No, I'm super competitive. I have been working on, I was realizing I am competitive in a very different, much more like in my, I will get like, how do I put it? I will be mad at myself about not being as good as other people. And I slowly learned, like, it's a little bit of insecurity, but it's also competitiveness. So, like, you'll have a friend who does something really great. I'm like, I could do that. I know, you know what I mean? And like having that, and like having that underlying thing is kind of, it's an unhealthy form of competitiveness. And it's also in a response to you, and you are very outwardly competitive. And I think I've very much internalized that because you were so outwardly competitive. I was like, I'm not gonna be like that. That's not.
She's crazy.
But then I would lose sleep over, like, I would be like, I don't even care about this basketball game. I don't even care if we won or lost. And then I would just be like at home, like freaking, and just like stewing over it. And so I do have that. I've worked very hard to not seem outwardly competitive. And then I've
basically
slowly,
you've worked very hard to not be like your mother in that regard. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, but then we were playing Cover Your Assets, and I think I called you the B word to your face when you stole gold from me that I had hidden successfully.
Yeah, and I may have MF'd you a time or two in some of these competitive games.
So many times.
So I do think competition is good. I am acutely aware that it is maybe my greatest strength and my greatest weakness.
It's something.
It's something. All right. Did you have another topic? I have one more topic if you don't.
Oh, shit.
One more chaos.
I have 2, but I don't know how good they are. Okay. Let me. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, I like this one. My handwriting is so bad. I just don't write anymore. All right.
would you do stand up?
I was thinking about that. I'd be like, it would be interesting. Would you do that? Because are you okay public speaking? Because I know you do it, but would you write jokes and like stand up in front of people and do stand up?
Yes, because I,
Are you about to say you think you're one of the funniest people you know?
how did you know that's exactly what I
Yeah,
was going to say?
yeah. Hmm.
I do think I'm funny, and I think you are funny too because we joke around a lot. Like I think you've been raised in a humorous family. Like we're light, we joke, we are like sarcasm is our love language, I would imagine.
Hmm. Hmm.
I would do stand up. I think I would have to wait and retire from ESPN because I don't know, like I would never want to say something that gets me in trouble at work. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're really being honest in stand up,
I think I'd be fine. I mean, listen, look, yeah.
I mean, because stand up
You write
talk a
you
lot
write the
about,
jokes. You're not just like up there making stuff. You can write out what you're saying. So it's like it's a thoughtful
right.
process.
Well, you have done stand up and I've come
Hmm.
to your stand up in New York City. And that's really one of my moments I've been really proud of you because I can't even imagine how hard it is to do stand up in New York City. And I remember sitting there and there was probably about 50 to 60, probably 50 people in the audience. And it was a showcase of, I don't know, 7 or 8 comics. And I would say
Hmm.
you were like top 3.
Okay.
And that was one of your first times really doing it. And I was just impressed that you'd put yourself out there because I do think you have to play off the audience and you have to be self-deprecating. Um, I don't know that I'd do I don't know if I'd do stand up, honey. It's not been an aspiration of mine. You know what I have wanted to do? I think I would be a wonderful, funny, fat, older comic character on Broadway. You know, every Broadway show has that funny older lady or that funny chubby person. I feel like
Hmm.
that would be a good role for me. I'd love to do
Okay.
a Broadway show.
Okay. Well let's reach out to Broadway and see what we
Yeah.
can wrestle up.
Yeah.
I like it. I
Okay,
like it.
here's my last topic for today. And then we'll get out of here because I've got to pack.
Hmm.
Family dance history. So I came across this great quote. Last week we were talking about a lot of things that bring us joy and how you have joy every day. And
Hmm.
I came across this quote that I saved for you. If you're comfortable dancing in public without alcohol or drugs, you are truly at peace with who you are. So we are a dancing family. Um,
Hmm.
can you dance publicly without drugs or alcohol and feel good about it?
I mean, I can jokingly dance around. I don't mind doing that. Messing around, not dancing seriously. I do, yeah. Like I went to 2 weddings this weekend. But one of the weddings, I was working at one, but one of them, uh, yeah, I was drinking because it's more fun. I don't know. It's just more silly. I think when you're dancing, anytime I see somebody dancing seriously, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't get it's I'm trying to get better at that, but
What do you mean dancing seriously?
like when people are really taking it seriously and trying really hard, like yeah, like when I see like we go to the Liberty games and there's those people out dancing and they're all like acting cool and doing faces and I'm like this is weird. I don't like why have we just accepted people doing just this? I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Okay, so I am a closet dancer. I love dancing
I
to the
think you're a
point where
closet dancer. You have clips of you dancing on sidelines while going viral. Well, you're not a closet dancer.
I'm not in the closet. So when you were a kid, every house we've lived in, we would have a dance room and I would like
Mhm.
make one of the bedrooms hardwood floors. I'd put mirrors up and we would have dance parties like a lot of Friday nights, when I'm like a young single mom and we're not really going out anywhere. You and I would just have Friday night dance parties and we would have your friends over. We'd have, families over and we'd have all these dance parties. So I think dancing is a huge part of life and having joy and having fun. Like to this day, we have a family Christmas dance off every year, which by the
Oh
way,
yeah,
you won this year.
yes I did.
Um,
I beat all the adults and the children.
yeah, you beat every age category. You were the overall family champion.
Yep.
I was the family champion for about 20 straight years, but I'm getting out
Well,
by some
it's
of the
I
young
think
people right.
you were a self declared champion. because we didn't have any way to gauge it. And then we got Just Dance, and you've been like top three since
No,
Just Dance came out.
yeah, Just Dance. If you don't know it, it's like an Xbox Connect, and it reads your body movements, and you dance. And we have all of those dances. We do it all the time in our living room. So
Yeah, I mean, you were top three. I think it's like me. I think BJ was pretty high up there, and then you.
yeah, but I do think dancing is the way I find joy frequently in life. Like, would you
Yeah.
say dancing has made our family very joyful? It's a
Yeah.
family tradition.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the family that dances together can't be that
Yeah. I agree.
argumentative, right? If you're dancing, you're not fighting, you're not disagreeing.
I agree. Yeah, I do. I do agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was maybe a lame topic, but I
Well,
thought
I'm
that
just
was a
like,
good quote.
there's not a lot to go. It's cute. It was cute.
Okay.
I like that. Well, all right. I
Well, I
love
love
you,
you.
Mama.
What do you have
And
coming up this week? What do you have coming up this week?
told you I got work, and then I have
Oh, you're
a
shooting your
shoot,
pilot.
and then I have a sketch show.
Oh, great.
So yeah.
Break a leg.
And you have Oklahoma versus Tennessee, big game.
Huge
I'll be
game.
watching.
Yes, huge game. There's a lot of storylines in that game. One of the interesting storylines, so I'm just going to drop you some tea right here. So Oklahoma had a quarterback in 2000 named Josh Heupel. He actually played in Utah, Weber State, Snow Canyon, Snow College in Ephraim, Utah. Won a junior college national championship, then transferred to Oklahoma, where he won the 2000 Oklahoma national championship.
Mm-hmm.
Legendary player, finished second for the Heisman, like one of the best seasons in Oklahoma football history. And then worked his way up, became a graduate assistant, eventually became the co-offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. So he poured like 10 to 15 years of his life into Oklahoma football. And in 2015, I think, they fired him to bring in Lincoln Riley, another coach.
Mm.
And so now Josh Heupel is the head coach of Tennessee. So for the first time, he is bringing his team back into Oklahoma. So there's just a little. He's saying it's not
some
personal.
drama. Yeah.
I think it's very personal, and I think if he has a chance, he'll drop like 100 points on Oklahoma if they can.
I love
And
it.
Tennessee is currently the highest scoring offense in the country. So I'm very interested to see how this game goes because once we got bad blood, I don't think I can use Taylor Swift lyrics or else would have to maybe pay for them. But
I know that's. I think just saying two words.
There's maybe some bad blood between.
That could be any song. We don't even know.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, there
I don't. That could be a song from the '60s. We don't know.
We don't know. And then the WNBA playoffs start on Sunday.
Yep.
The New York Liberty have clinched the #1 overall spot. I know you are a huge Liberty fan.
I'm going to the game on Tuesday.
Oh, wow. Okay, good for you. I love that you are a WNBA fan. And so I don't know where I'm going yet. We have to wait till games end on Thursday. So I will not know where I'm going yet this week. But anyway, so I might see you next week in New York. I might not. We'll see how it rolls.
We'll see how it goes.
I hope I get to see you, darling.
You too.
All right. Love you. Thanks
for love you too.
Me. Mwah.